Hi, this is Dr. Lennox, and I want to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is emotions and the body. If you can just entertain for just a moment that one's emotional reality may have some components we haven't considered. For example, have you ever noticed that sometimes you're just driving down the street and everything's wonderful, and someone cuts you off, and you look at them and you feel a little irritated, and then you sort of go along and it's fine. And you figure, oh, well, you know, that's okay. And then maybe one other day you're driving down the street and someone cuts you off and you're pounding on your steering wheel. You're madder than heck. What's the difference in that? Why would one have that kind of difference? And what I propose to you is that there is a distinct correlation between certain specific kinds of, quote, emotions and certain imbalances in physiology. And I pay a lot of attention to that because when you as a patient come in to talk to me, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to what you're telling me, how you're telling me, and what you're telling me about. One of the classic things that happens is that there is a relationship between how an organ gets under stress and a language that we speak about it. For example, if you eat something that you're chemically sensitive to, the body reacts to it. It has a histamine reaction. It grinds down on it. And actually, you see that in people when they're allergic. You can see they kind of want to draw a line in the sand. I said, okay, that far and no further. And I actually listen to that. I listen to that in me, and I listen to that into my patients. A person comes in, and they're saying, I just can't stand this anymore. This is absolutely intolerable. Go any further than that. One of the first things I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about the liver. I'm thinking about a histamine response, and I'm wondering to myself, are they having foods on a regular basis that they're chemically sensitive to? Are they eating things they're actually allergic to? Are they in an environment where they're outgassing new rugs? Did they just paint their office? All those things I'm beginning to wonder about, because just based on that language. And what I want to tell you is that each different organ has a language that we often interpret as emotional. So for example, let's go to gallbladder. You know, the gallbladder sits underneath the liver. It's involved with digestion. And the gallbladder, classically, when you have some stress in the gallbladder, will give you a nice little pain between the shoulder blades back here and sometimes up into the neck. Sometimes it'll give you a shoulder pain. Sometimes it'll give you a knee pain. But one of the classic things that it always seems to get involved with is a little deep sense of resentment. Now, what's resentment? Resentment is that sensation that something has happened that is wrong, that's happened to me, or wrong in the world, and it's bad, and I have an attitude about that, and it's not okay, and it's a statement about how I feel about that. I like to sort of say that resentment is that state of mind when you feel that either the world is a random event and bad things have just happened to me, or the world is an organized event and for some reason the universal mind or God or the divine has caused some mistake to happen now. And sort of it's a position. And what I notice is that if people have physiological congestion in their gallbladder, as well as having some of the physical symptoms of digestive distress and physical pain, they will also have a little kind of attitude about, I'm not getting what I deserve around here. Other people get what they want. I'm not getting what I want. I deserve better, or someone else is having something bad happen to them. And I just hear that tone. And if you begin to watch yourself, you'll hear that tone. The thing that's interesting is I have an attitude that the natural state of the human being is happy and healthy. And so I look for what's the deviation from that. In myself, I look for it, and I encourage people to look. If I have an experience where suddenly I am cranky about something, I'm curious because I don't consider crankiness to be a natural state. I consider it to be a message about something. Another classical one is the thyroid. The thyroid's a wonderful organ. It sits like a gland. It sits right here. It's involved with your basic energy metabolism. And there are three rather beautiful classical emotional states that happen when the thyroid's under some stress. One is a person will feel unattractive in spite of someone saying that they look good. That means you can stand up, look at a picture of yourself and go, wow, that person looks really good, until you recognize it as yourself. And suddenly that sort of short circuits. Another aspect of thyroid emotion is a desire to be left alone. I want to be left alone. Please don't talk to me. please don't call me. Please don't touch me. Just really give me my space, leave me alone. And at the exact same instant, why are you never there for me? You always abandon me. This sort of paradoxical thing that happens. And the other one is, I think I'll cry about it. And I don't know what it is. You can go to a movie, look at a movie that's sort of sentimental, and you're crying like a baby at the movie, and you don't even care about the movie. I always refer to it like crying at phone commercials, you know, that is sentimental phone commercials, you know. And I don't even care about those things, and you're like, oh, tears coming down my eyes. And what's interesting about those are 3 things that happen to people when their thyroid is compromised. Now, it's rather interesting from the point of view of physiology that classically some of those things are found to be part of a premenstrual syndrome. And I think that's interesting because what we know about hormones in the body is that as the female cycle happens, if she cannot break down estrogen properly in the liver, if she's B vitamin deficient, if there's just too much estrogen and the liver can't handle it, the estrogen competes with the thyroid hormone. And the result will be a suppression of thyroid function with the concomitant emotions that go with it. If the liver is really involved, then there'll be anger as well. And what I offer is, well, those are not really emotional crazinesses. Those are physiologically induced states that look like emotions. And then we identify them as emotions and we react to them like they're emotions, but they're physiological states. They're predictable and they're given. Kidneys are another one. Kidneys have to do with fear of change specifically, and also what we call fixed ideas about change. You know, there's this attitude sometimes where I think things should go a certain way, and they're not going that way. And rather than understand that I need to change my attitude, I'll lock down and say, no, no, they need to go that way. That's the way it should be. It really needs to be that way, and that's that. And that will cause kidney stress, and kidney stress will cause that. It'll go back and forth. Sometimes I find people have low back pain or lower thoracic pain where the kidneys are as a result of emotional stress about upcoming changes. Sometimes kidney stress is there from dehydration, and it goes backwards. You see the emotional stress experienced as a result of dehydration and kidney stress. What's another favorite? I think I've mentioned in other videos the discussion about the ileocecal valve. It's a valve between the large intestine and the small intestine. If that valve gets irritated, there's a certain fixity that happens. It's sort of, you know, locked in on a position, as well as a desire to just not be there for it. I just wish it would go away, and that kind of thing. And that's really tied to ileocecal valve. And I listen to that. Someone will come in with a low backache, and they'll be saying, you know, I just can't stand this anymore. I need it to go away. And that's an emotional set that exists with a certain kind of low back. So the idea is that there's language specific to different organs, and that if you learn to listen to them, you can tell a lot about how you're doing or how a patient is doing. My other favorite one is the blood sugar one. When you tend to eat a little too much sugar for what your body does, there's this real tendency to believe that other people are talking to you in a language that's kind of offensive and rude, that they're snippy with you, that if they would just simply take care of their jobs and do their jobs properly, my life would be better. And that oftentimes goes along with a neck ache right up in here and kind of a shoulder pain and you know, this sense of irritability about that. And so when I look at a patient, when we're talking to patients and listening to patients, we're talking about that kind of information as part of the diagnostic workup of understanding that the body talks in many different languages besides just physical pain or obvious dysfunction. And that's part of the real essential ways of looking at people from the point of view of natural medicine. So thanks very much for watching. Please come to drlennox.com. So there are lots of more videos there. I appreciate you looking at them. Share them among your friends. This is a good way to look at health, and you can help people by sharing this information with them. Thank you.